We finally got an up-close look at the latest generation Cybertruck prototype, so keep in mind this is not finalized, this is not a production model. However, it is probably more accurate than the original renderings we're still working with off of Tesla's website that was unveiled back in 2019. Elon has since commented on this prototype and said that it is not final, including the windshield wiper, but seems like some employees within the Tesla Fremont factory potentially got their first look at the truck and were taking some footage of it, and that was reposted by Joshua on Twitter, who said he claims he got it from a Facebook group. So of course, the employees that filmed this Cybertruck are gonna be in trouble, and they're not supposed to be doing this, even though I think that the earnings call is probably going to reveal a bit more about the Cybertruck, given Elon has said product roadmap update for months now. It's probably not too top secret information anymore, especially given we've already had drone footage of this same truck driving around the Fremont factory, so I don't really think they're leaking that much information, but thanks to these pictures in this video, we can actually see how the updated Cybertruck design looks, and it's different. You know, I pick up on little details here and there, but I feel like the overall footprint and the face of the truck looks not the same as before, but once I start comparing details, I actually have kind of a hard time figuring out what exactly is different about it. It just, I think, can be summarized by the look of being smaller. I feel like overall the angle that the kind of like pyramid top of the Cybertruck has gotten like steeper, like the windshield goes down more drastically and the bed goes down faster, and that results in kind of a different look that I'm sure some people may like, some people may not like. If you're curious how I fall on the subject, I think it probably looks a tad less aggressive to have a smaller footprint of a truck overall, and after seeing footage of the bed, I'm not entirely sure if it's smaller, but it certainly feels smaller than the original prototype bed that we've been looking at for so many years. Not to mention, from this footage we can tell there's definitely bed liner on the inside instead of the traditional T-rail racking system that we saw on the prototype. Because the bottom portion of the bed cuts in pretty deep, I don't think I can go as far as to say that this bed is definitely smaller than the original prototype. It still might be 6.5 feet from the bottom, but overall, as you guys know, I'm kind of a fan of smaller pickup truck designs. I know that the F-150 is the best-selling vehicle, you know, ever, and that's traditionally a much bigger truck, and that's kind of the market the Cybertruck was going after, but I'm all in favor of Tesla making better use of space so that they can fit extreme practicality in a smaller footprint. And even though I know there's probably some heavy-duty Cybertruck reservation holders that are like, I want a big, fat, beefy truck that's tall and it's huge and it's long, but I tend to fall more on the side of like, I want this thing to be able to fit in a supercharger, okay, and if it's too big, it's not gonna fit in most people's garages, which I get some of you live in places where you don't mind if it's parked outside all the time, but let's be honest, it's an EV at the end of the day, so being able to pull it into a garage and charge it overnight is gonna just make it infinitely more practical than a truck you park on the street or park out in the dirt and you're not able to charge it. You're gonna have to be going to superchargers with itty-bitty supercharging stalls all the time, and trying to fit this giant vehicle inside those parking spots is gonna be a bit of a task. Not to mention, if they are able to get the overall size down, even if that meant a 6-foot bed or a 5.5-foot bed and a smaller frunk, which may not be as practical as the F-150 Lightning's major frunk or the Silverado EV's frunk, with lower weight and still that great practicality and utility that the exoskeleton allows for, it will require less cells for Tesla to put in the structural pack to go 300 miles or 500 miles for the quad motor option, which is why I'm okay with this design change, even though aesthetically it may not be what people are looking for. I mean, obviously most people don't want the Cybertruck to have side view mirrors, but that's more of a legal battle, and Elon has said it's legal for owners to take the mirrors off, but not legal for us to deliver a vehicle without side view mirrors. So even if you don't like the mirrors on this thing, don't worry, they're probably either magnetic or only use a couple of screws and you can pop them off. And if you're still not happy about the giant windshield wiper that's gonna try to extend to get the entire windshield with a single swipe, Elon has since mentioned that that is not the production wiper. So he's in favor of something that kind of pops out from under the frunk and wipes the windshield, and then when it's not raining you don't even see a windshield wiper. That way it's as close to the original prototype as possible. But of course Elon also went on to mention in that same tweet that's going to add overall to complexity, which might make mass production of this truck a lot harder than they thought, which is why personally I don't mind if they end up sticking with the giant windshield wiper approach. Obviously it's different, it's a bit weird, and of course people aren't used to it yet, but I think over time people would grow to be more comfortable with it. I've already kind of gotten used to the idea that, well, if you want to have that big clean glass to frunk steel design, you're gonna have to have a wiper like that, and if the wiper had to be hidden underneath the frunk, you would probably sacrifice on a lot of the practicality and storage storage up there. So overall, this is why I think Tesla should do Cybertruck updates as soon as possible. It's all about setting expectations and not getting too many people comfortable with how the original looked if that's not what's going to make it to production. On that same note, a lot of people are not quite comfortable yet with these wheels, which also might not be stock. These might not be what Tesla ends up going with mass production wise. They look a lot like the 18-inch Aero wheels without the hubcaps on, so I'm hoping that there's a way to attach the original Cybertruck prototype wheel hubcaps onto the production model so that those wheels can look actually the way they intended, because right now it looks kind of just odd to have a fairly standard looking wheel on there. So I hope they have larger tire options as well for people who want to get more into off-roading. And of course, it's nice to finally have a close-up look at what no door handles looks like on this prototype. Not to mention, on the little door sill column, there seems to be a tiny little white line. So many people are speculating that if the truck is not able to register that you are you and it doesn't automatically open the doors. So yeah, Elon previously mentioned self-opening doors are going to be a thing on the Cybertruck. If they don't work, you'll be able to probably either tap that little white line or swipe it, just like you do with the Tesla Roadster prototype, and that will open the doors instead of having a physical handle, which probably makes it far easier for Tesla to mass produce these big heavy-duty stainless steel doors, which now don't require a big cutout or motors to have door handles stick out of. So I appreciate how Tesla is focusing on what's mass producible, what's simple, because to me, fundamentally, that's what matters with pickup trucks. I know that this updated Cybertruck may not be as cool looking as the original prototype, and that might be a bit of a downgrade to some people to say like, oh, the truck is smaller, or the bed might be shorter, or the frunk doesn't look as aggressive as before. But trucks are about practicality and utility, and I think that's what Tesla is prioritizing here. So even if it does look a little uglier and we don't really like the look of the mirrors or the windshield wiper or the lack of door handles, everything Tesla is doing about this truck is about scalability and making sure that they can mass produce it. So I say a smaller footprint, a smaller design, that's a win in my book, because it means better efficiency, easier to park in supercharging stalls, and less cells per vehicle, which means they can ramp up Cybertruck production faster than if it was larger, which makes it less aerodynamic, less efficient, which requires more batteries to hit these insane range figures that Tesla put out there that the Cybertruck is going to have to come close to. Originally, they said it would have over 500 miles of range, but the wording on the website has now been updated to up to 500 miles. So that makes me wonder, with the quad motor setup, are they going to settle for 400 or 450? And for the dual motor setup, it'll probably be over 300, of course, but maybe not as far over 300 as we thought. Might be closer to 310, 315 instead of, you know, the Model 3 or Model Y getting 350 or 330. But I still think it will be very practical. I think it's going to be the best electric pickup truck money can buy. Of course, I'm also excited to hear all of the fine details Tesla is planning for the earnings call on Wednesday, so I'll be covering that with you guys live. I want to thank everyone who's been supporting the channel over on Patreon, helping me save up for a Tesla later this year, and to everyone who's just watching the videos, that seriously helps out a ton as well. Take care and have a great day.